Hi, I'm Olivia, 29, and apparently I'm so forgettable that I moved across the country, started a whole new life, and it took my family 14 months to notice. It was a Tuesday. I was in my apartment in Phoenix, halfway through reorganizing my spice rack, because that's what you do when your meeting gets cancelled and you're avoiding texts from a guy who ended a date by saying, "You seem chill, for a middle child." My phone lit up with, "Mom," and I almost didn't answer. But curiosity is a hell of a drug. "Olivia Marie Patterson," she snapped, skipping hello. "Where have you been?" I blinked. What do you mean?" "You missed Thanksgiving. You missed Christmas. You weren't at Easter brunch. And now you're not coming to Jennifer's engagement party this weekend. What is going on with you?" I paused, holding a stack of dinner plates. "Because I moved to Arizona?" Silence. Not the good kind. The kind where you can actually hear the circuits frying in someone's brain. "You live in Connecticut," she said flatly. "I lived in Connecticut. Past tense. I moved to Phoenix 14 months ago. Told you at Ryan's birthday. Told you again at 4 separate family dinners. Texted you the day before I left. Pretty sure Ashley even responded with a thumbs up. You never told us you were serious." There it was. The classic Patterson move: dismiss anything they weren't paying attention to and act like it never happened. "Mom," I said calmly, "I sent a group text. I posted it on Facebook. You liked it. That could have been a vacation," she snapped. "What vacation includes a moving truck, a new driver's license, a new job, and a cat named Phoenix who's never seen snow? You got a cat?" "Focus, Mom." By the time the call ended, her yelling, me hanging up, my hands were shaking. Not from guilt. From the sad, furious confirmation that they genuinely hadn't noticed I'd been gone. Like, actually gone. Across the country. For over a year. That night, I sat on the couch with my cat curled in my lap, staring at my phone as the text started rolling in. "That was rude. Mom. Your mother is upset. Dad. Wait, you moved? Ashley. Is this a joke? Ryan. No, dear family. The joke's been 29 years long. The punchline? Me, quietly leaving the group photo and no one noticing until the lighting got weird without me. Want to hear what happened next? You know that cliché where someone says, "I could disappear and no one would notice." Yeah. I tested it. Turns out, it's not a metaphor. It's a life experiment with horrifyingly accurate results. Let me rewind to the night it started, Ryan's 32nd birthday. February, Connecticut, the kind of cold that seeps through your bones and makes your wine glass fog. My family was gathered in my parents' backyard, heaters blazing, laughter loud, attention span non-existent. Ashley was showing off her new, abstract phase paintings on her phone. Ryan was texting one of his subcontractors, pretending it was business but grinning like a teenager. Mom was counting candles on the cake. Dad was flipping burgers in a puffer jacket like he was hosting a cooking show called Midlife Grill Crisis. I cleared my throat, rehearsed speech ready. "Hey everyone, I have some news." Nobody looked up. "I got a job offer," I continued louder. "Senior marketing strategist at Morrison & Hale. In Arizona." Mom, without looking up. "That's nice, honey. Ryan, come make sure I got the right number of candles." And just like that, my announcement dissolved into the background hum of family noise. That was my test run. I told them 4 more times over the next 3 weeks. Sunday dinner, quick phone calls, even in a group text that said, "Arizona, here I come." Ashley reacted with a thumbs up emoji. That was the full extent of the family engagement. So I packed my car, handed my keys to my landlord, and drove west. I crossed 9 states, listened to 12 podcasts about starting over, cried twice, laughed once, when I realized my mother probably still thought I was in my apartment watering fake plants. And then, I built a life. I got an apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and cactus plants I actually kept alive. My job was demanding but fulfilling. I joined a hiking group. I made friends who didn't talk over me. I met a guy named Marcus who, when I mentioned something about my day, remembered it the next time we spoke. That alone felt revolutionary. And for the first time in my life, I felt seen. Not spectacular, not dazzling, just seen. But here's the strange part. Even though my new life was full, some tiny part of me was waiting for someone back home to notice. To text. To ask. To say, "Hey, where have you been?" They didn't. For an entire year. So when Mom finally called, furious that I'd missed every gathering, it wasn't shock I felt, it was confirmation. Proof. I hadn't been imagining it all these years. I wasn't invisible because I was quiet. I was quiet because they'd never learned how to see me. You'd think that realization would hurt less once you've escaped it. Spoiler, it doesn't. Want to see what happened when I finally confronted them? 3 days after the call, I got a text from Ryan. "Are you free to FaceTime tonight? We want to clear this up." We. That word made me want to punch drywall. Because when had we ever included me? But curiosity got the better of me. So I said sure. 8 p.m. I wore no makeup, my softest hoodie, and zero expectations. When the screen lit up, it was a full-blown Patterson family summit. Mom, perched at the kitchen island. Dad, lurking in the background with arms crossed like a man being forced to watch an HR video. Ashley with red-rimmed eyes. Ryan doing his CEO face, neutral, composed, condescending. "Olivia," Mom started. "We've been trying to process this. Surprise." I tilted my head. "You mean my relocation that happened over a year ago?" Dad jumped in. "It's not fair to blame us for you sneaking away." I blinked. "I didn't sneak. I announced it. Repeatedly. Loudly. At Ryan's birthday. At dinner. In texts. I said the words, 'I am moving to Arizona,' in English. Do you need screenshots?" Mom looked flustered. "Well, we thought you were just talking. People say things." "Yes, Mom," I said evenly. "And sometimes those people sell their furniture, break a lease, hire movers, and change their address with the DMV." Ashley piped up, voice cracking. "I'm sorry. I didn't know it was real. I didn't think you'd actually go." There it was. They didn't believe I'd leave, because they didn't believe I mattered enough to take seriously. "I moved 2,500 miles away," I said slowly. "And no one noticed. Do you have any idea what that's like?" Ryan crossed his arms. "Are we doing this whole victim thing now?" I nearly laughed. "Ryan, I'm not playing a victim. I'm telling you how I watched you all redecorate around my absence like I was a chair that got moved and nobody missed." Dad sighed. "This feels performative." That's when something in me snapped. A slow, controlled snap, like the click of a safety coming off. "Okay," I said. "Let's perform." I held up my phone and opened Facebook. This is the post from the day I left. Me, holding a Welcome to Arizona mug. Caption: New job. New city. New chapter. Let's do this. "You liked it, Mom?" She squinted at the screen. Well, I didn't read the caption. Exactly. I looked at each of them. You don't listen. You don't read. You don't see me. And when I stop showing up, you assume I'm being difficult. Not absent. Not missing. Just antisocial Olivia being dramatic again. Nobody said a word. I built an entire life here. I go on hikes. I have friends. I adopted a cat. I'm in a relationship. I got promoted. And not once did any of you check in beyond a group invite or a forwarded meme. Ashley was crying now. "I'm sorry. I never thought you needed us." I smiled, cold and quiet. "That's the problem. You never thought about me at all." That was the moment the air changed. Even through the screen, I could see the shift. The understanding dawning in Ashley's face. The panic beginning to bloom in Mom's. the discomfort settling into Dad's frown. And Ryan? He just looked tired. Or maybe, for the first time ever, aware. None of them had expected me to confront them like this. Because they never thought I'd find my voice. But I had. In a desert, miles away, with no audience, I'd finally heard it. Want to know how they reacted when the silence finally broke? The silence stretched so long I thought the call had frozen. Then Dad coughed, the universal sign for, "I'm uncomfortable and about to say something dumb." "So, what now?" he said finally. "You moved. We know. What do you want us to do about it?" I laughed, an actual laugh that startled even me. "I don't want you to do anything, Dad. I just wanted you to notice. You know, basic human observation." Mom bristled. "That's unfair. We've always cared about you. Name one thing about my life from the last 5 years." She opened her mouth. Closed it. Looked at Dad like maybe he'd bail her out. He didn't. "Okay," I said softly. "I'll make it easier. What's my birthday?" "February." She started confidently. "It's March. March 12th. Ashley covered her mouth. Ryan muttered, "Jesus." "And my major in college?" I added. Blank stares. "You never told us," Dad said defensively. "I have a framed diploma hanging in your hallway." I shot back. "Marketing. Minor in psychology." Right next to Ryan's baseball trophy and Ashley's kindergarten art ribbon. Ryan leaned forward. "Olivia, I think we get it. You're mad." "No," I interrupted. "I'm done." "There's a difference." It hit me mid-sentence. This wasn't rage anymore. It was clarity. A clean, painful kind of clarity that felt like oxygen after years of holding my breath. "I moved because I wanted to start over," I said. "I didn't plan on ghosting you forever, but when months passed and no one noticed, I realized how much energy I'd wasted trying to be seen by people who weren't looking." Mom's voice wavered. "We didn't mean to make you feel invisible." "I know. You just did it naturally." Ashley wiped her eyes. "Can we fix it?" "That depends," I said. "Do you want to know me, or do you just want me back in the background so you don't feel guilty?" That landed like a gut punch. Dad actually winced. Ryan, the eternal mediator, tried to salvage the wreck. "Look, Liv, we screwed up, okay? We didn't realize how far it went. You're right. You shouldn't have had to disappear for us to care." He sounded sincere. "For once," Mom whispered. "We just didn't think you'd go through with it." "Why not?" I asked. "Because I never did anything bold before? Because I was quiet? Because I didn't demand space like everyone else? Maybe that was the problem. Every time I tried to speak, you were already listening to yourselves." Nobody argued. For the first time in my life, I had their attention. And for the first time, I didn't need it. I glanced at the clock. "I have plans tonight," I said, standing up. Mom blinked. "Now? With who?" "Friends. People who ask questions and actually wait for answers." Then I ended the call. No dramatic sign-off. No tears. Just click. Phoenix the cat jumped onto the couch beside me like she approved. And I realized something simple and devastating. I didn't owe them another explanation. They'd spent years tuning me out. Now they'd have to sit in the silence I left behind. But that silence? It didn't last long. Because less than 24 hours later, one of them broke it in a way I didn't expect at all. Want to see who reached out first, and what they said? It was Ryan. My phone buzzed just after lunch with a text that read, "You were right. I didn't notice. I thought you were just doing your own thing like always. But I never asked. That's on me." I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Of all of them, I didn't expect him to go first. Ryan was the golden child. The one who had a garage full of power tools before I could afford a decent couch. He'd once forgotten my birthday because his lawn guy no-showed, and it was a whole thing. I responded. Thanks for saying that. Seconds later. Can I ask you something? Sure. Did you always feel like we didn't see you? Or was this just recent? I paused. There it was. The question I'd been waiting 2 decades to hear. And it wasn't coming from Mom's frantic guilt or Ashley's mascara tears. It was from Ryan, who never asked anyone anything that didn't relate to truck specs or fantasy football. Yes. Since we were kids. 3 dots. They disappeared. Reappeared. Then finally. I'm sorry. I thought you were just independent. I didn't realize you were quiet because we talked over you. I felt something inside me loosen. Not break, just shift. Like a door creaking open after years of being painted shut. That night, while I was microwaving leftover enchiladas and Phoenix was chasing a bottle cap around the kitchen, my phone rang. Ashley. I almost didn't answer. But something in Ryan's message had softened me just enough to risk it. Hey, she said, voice soft and shaky. I looked through all your Instagram posts from the past year. Every one. I said nothing. Let her keep going. You documented everything. The packing. The drive. Your first day at work. The cat. I like some of them, but I don't think I ever read them. Not really. I didn't even ask what Phoenix's name meant. It's the city, I said simply. Also, rebirth. Mythical bird. New life. She sniffled. That's beautiful. And I missed it. I missed you. Not because I was mad or busy or anything like that. Just because I didn't look hard enough. I let that sit for a second. Then I asked, What do you want from me now, Ash? She was quiet. Then, a second chance. A real one. I want to be your sister, not just the person who shares your last name. What does that mean? It means calling once a week. Asking questions. Actually listening. Remembering what you say. Making plans. Showing up when you need someone, not just when there's cake and family photos. It was a good answer. Maybe the best answer. But I'd been given good words before. I needed time to see if they turned into action. I'd like that, I said. But I'm not chasing anymore. If this fades in 2 weeks, I won't remind you. I know. I won't let it fade. We talked for 20 minutes. She asked about my apartment, my job, Phoenix, Marcus. She laughed at my stories. She asked follow-ups. It was surreal. Like meeting someone new who just happened to know all your embarrassing childhood secrets. When we hung up, I didn't feel fixed. But I felt less alone. And then my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Mom. But she wasn't texting. She was calling. Want to know what she said? I stared at the screen like it might blink first. Mom is calling. I let it ring. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then, for reasons I still don't fully understand, maybe stubbornness, maybe curiosity, maybe just momentum, I answered. Olivia. She breathed, like I'd just come back from war. Hi, Mom. There was a pause long enough for me to think she might hang up. But then, I found the email you sent. About the move. My heart actually stopped for a beat. It was in my inbox. She continued. I remember seeing it. I think I meant to respond, but I got distracted. I closed my eyes and pressed my lips together. There it was. Not an apology. Not even shame. Just a casual, almost bored confession that my massive life change had gotten lost between grocery coupons and Pottery Barn newsletters. I see, I said flatly. Olivia, she said again. We need to talk about this. We are talking about it. No, I mean really talk. You can't just move across the country without telling anyone. I did tell you, Mom. Multiple times. You didn't listen. That's not the same thing. Another long pause. Her voice softened. That's very rude, the way you hung up on me the other day. I'm not going to apologize for that. You used to be more respectful. I used to think you noticed if I was missing. That stopped her cold. In the background, I could hear the faint clink of silverware. She was probably pacing around the kitchen island like she always did during hard conversations, except this time, there was no eye contact to guilt me into silence. Just a phone line and a long overdue reckoning. Your father and I are trying to understand, she said finally. We've been talking about it every night since your call. Why now? I asked. Why not after one missed dinner? Or two? Or after the Christmas card with my Arizona return address? Why did it take 14 months and a missed engagement party for you to care? She didn't answer directly. You were always the quiet one. We thought you liked your space. No, Mom. I adapted to my space. You gave me so little of it, I made myself small just to survive in it. I didn't mean to say that. It came out too raw, too real. And the silence that followed it was different this time. It wasn't defensive. It was shaken. You're angry, she said quietly. I'm hurt, I corrected. And tired. And honestly, a little embarrassed that it took me moving across the country to find out how optional I was to you all. I never thought of you as optional, she said, almost whispering. I didn't realize. Exactly. She sighed, shaky and uneven. Ashley told me what you said to her. About not being chased. I nodded even though she couldn't see it. It's still true. I don't want to lose you. Then don't treat me like I'm easy to lose. There was a long pause. Then she said the 5 most unexpected words of my entire adult life. Tell me about your life. I didn't respond right away. I wasn't sure if it was a trap, a deflection, or an actual attempt. But the way she said it, it didn't sound like a parent scanning for a reason to argue. It sounded like someone trying to start over. So I told her. I told her about my apartment. The hiking group. Marcus. Phoenix the cat and her weird obsession with watching me brush my teeth. I told her about my job, the campaigns I was proud of, my new friends, the Thai place I'd fallen in love with, the fact that I started writing again. She didn't interrupt. She didn't steer the conversation back to herself. She just listened. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt heard. When I hung up an hour later, I was crying. Quiet, confused tears. Not from anger. Not even from sadness. From hope. Want to see who reached out next, and what surprise they had for me. It was Saturday morning, and I was still processing the wild emotional hangover of my mother actually listening to me when my phone buzzed again. Ryan. But this time, it wasn't a text. It was a FaceTime request. That alone should have qualified as a seismic event. Ryan uses FaceTime the way most people use a landline in a horror movie, reluctantly and only when something's on fire. I answered. His face popped onto the screen, slightly tilted, like he didn't fully trust the front-facing camera. He was outside somewhere. Trees in the background. Hey, he said, almost sheepish. Got a minute? Sure. What's up? He flipped the camera. I blinked. He was standing in front of a sign that read, Welcome to Phoenix, Arizona. I nearly dropped my coffee. What are you doing? I had a few vacation days. He shrugged. Figured I'd finally come see what all the fuss is about. You flew here? Yeah. I'm here till Tuesday. Brought running shoes and everything. I mean hiking shoes. Whatever you people wear here to not die. I didn't know what to say. My brother, the human embodiment of Connecticut never leaves Connecticut, had flown across the country on his own to see me. No strings, no guilt, no event requiring forced togetherness. Just me. I was going to text first. He added, but I figured I'd better show up and prove I meant it. I shook my head, smiling despite myself. You really flew all the way here just to visit? He nodded. And to apologize. In person. Because texts don't cut it when you've been ignoring someone for most of your shared lives. I felt a weird lump form in my throat. I've got a rental car. he added quickly. I'm not crashing on your couch. I even got a hotel downtown. But if you're free tonight, maybe dinner? I glanced at Phoenix, who was staring at Ryan's face on the screen like she didn't trust him yet. There. I know a great taco place, I said. Outdoor seating. Margaritas that taste like life decisions. He grinned. Perfect. Text me the time. We hung up, and I sat there for a long moment, phone still in my hand. Then it buzzed again. Dad. Just a single text this time. Sunday dinner next month. If you're willing to visit. We'll actually listen this time. I didn't respond right away. Then another text came in, from Mom. I've been looking at your photos. Arizona's beautiful. I'm sorry I missed seeing you discover it. I'm sorry I missed a year of your life. I'm sorry I missed you. Followed by, can we start over? Could we? I didn't know yet. Trust doesn't bloom overnight. But I did know one thing. I wasn't the one who needed to prove anything anymore. They were. And for the first time, they finally seemed to understand that. Want to see how it all ends? The following evening, Ryan and I sat on a patio under string lights, both of us clutching sweating margarita glasses while a mariachi band played somewhere down the block. So this is Arizona, he said, looking around like he was half expecting a cactus to attack him. This is one block of it, I said. We don't all ride horses to work, in case you're wondering. He smirked. It's weird seeing you here. Not because you don't fit, but because you actually do. Like, really do. I blinked at that. That might be the nicest thing you've ever said to me. I'll ruin it later, don't worry. But he didn't. Not that night. We ate tacos. We talked about things we never talked about growing up, what it felt like to live in a house where everything revolved around appearances, expectations, and whoever spoke the loudest. I think I always thought you were fine because you looked fine, he said, sipping his drink. You didn't complain. You didn't start drama. You didn't need anything. I did, I said softly. I just gave up asking. He nodded. I wish I'd noticed sooner. Noticed that all would have been a start. We didn't hug when we said goodbye. We weren't that kind of family. But his, text me if you need anything, felt like a hug in its own way. The next few weeks, things didn't change overnight. But they changed. Ashley called once a week like she promised. Sometimes we talked for 10 minutes, sometimes for an hour. Sometimes she just sent a photo of Phoenix fan art she made as a joke, but she remembered the cat's name, and that mattered more than the art. Ryan sent me memes. Bad ones. But he sent them. And he followed up. Asked about Marcus. Asked if I was still writing. Actually listened when I answered. Mom was trying. That's the only way to put it. She called without guilt trips. She asked questions. She remembered details. She didn't always get it right, but she was showing up. Dad was slower. He sent me an email. An actual email. Said he wasn't great with feelings, but had been reading a book Ashley gave him called The Middle Child Myth. He said he wanted to do better. He signed it. Love, Dad. Not regards like his work emails. Just love. And me? I kept living. I kept hiking. I kept dating Marcus, who never once interrupted me mid-sentence. I kept feeding Phoenix her absurdly expensive grain-free cat food and laughing at how she attacks my mail like it owes her money. I kept building the life I started when I drove west with a car full of hope and exactly zero family fanfare. And I stopped waiting for validation from people who never learned how to give it. Now, if it came, it was a bonus, not a requirement. One Sunday, as promised, I flew home. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't tense. It wasn't some teary airport reunion scene. But it was real. Ashley met me at baggage claim. Ryan had cleared space in his driveway for my rental. At dinner, Dad asked about my job. Mom asked about my cat. Ryan let me finish a story without interrupting. Ashley actually brought one of my favorite wines. And for the first time, I wasn't there to fill a seat or complete a family photo. I was there as me. Seen, heard, remembered. And not because I shouted. Not because I begged. Because I finally believed I deserved it. The invisible girl had left. And when she came back, she wasn't invisible anymore. She was home. Wherever she decided that was going to be.